My son's wife kicked a disabled veteran out of his own home. That veteran was me. James Miller, Purple Heart recipient. Lost my leg in Afghanistan defending the freedom she uses to post yoga videos. She, Vanessa, my son's wife, built a whole wellness brand called Wellness with Vanessa, teaching people about compassion and positive energy. Ironic, right? 3 days ago, she looked me dead in the eye and said I needed to leave. Said my presence was dragging down their vibration. Said maybe I'd be happier in some veterans facility. My own son Kevin just stood there, nodding along. I didn't argue, didn't raise my voice, just walked to my office and started researching something called VA housing benefits. If you want to hear what happened next, hit that subscribe button, because this story will not end simply. Let me back up and explain how we got here. 2 years ago, Kevin married Vanessa at a destination wedding in Costa Rica. Cost me $12,000 I didn't really have. But hey, that's what fathers do, right? Vanessa seemed nice enough then. Yoga instructor, always posting those inspirational quotes on Instagram. Spread love and light. We rise by lifting others. You know the type. After my wife Sarah died of cancer in 2020, Kevin suggested I sell the family house. Too many memories, he said. Start fresh. So I used my VA benefits to buy this place. 3-bedroom ranch in Colorado Springs. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. All mine. The deed says James Miller. Not Kevin Miller, not Vanessa Miller. James Miller. But somewhere along the way, Vanessa started acting like she owned it. First it was little things. Moving my medications off the kitchen counter because they cluttered the aesthetic. Asking me to park my truck in the street because her white Range Rover Evoque looked better in the driveway. Then it escalated. She'd invite friends over without telling me. I'd come home from my VA counseling job to find 15 people doing hot yoga in my living room. My Purple Heart shadow box pushed to the corner. My American flag folded up and stuffed in a closet. We needed the space for positive energy flow, she'd say. Kevin would just shrug. Dad, can't you be more flexible? Flexible? Right. Tell that to my titanium prosthetic. But the real breaking point came last Monday. I was in my office reviewing case files for 3 veterans struggling with PTSD, doing my job, helping people who'd served their country. Vanessa burst in without knocking. James, we need to talk. She never called me Dad. Always James, like I was some roommate. Kevin and I have been discussing our living situation, she said, arms crossed. This arrangement isn't working anymore. I looked up from my files. What arrangement? You living here. With us. It's affecting our marriage. Our marriage. In my house. How exactly am I affecting your marriage, Vanessa? She sighed like I was a child who couldn't understand basic concepts. Your energy is just heavy. All this military stuff. The constant talk about war and veterans and trauma. Kevin and I are trying to build something positive here. Something light and healing. I set down my pen. 20 years in the Army taught me to stay calm under pressure. This military stuff, I said, gesturing to my Purple Heart, is why you have the freedom to practice yoga and build your Instagram brand. I'm not ungrateful, she snapped, but that was your choice. You chose to go to war. You chose to get injured. Now Kevin and I have to deal with the consequences. The conversation I overheard that night changed everything. I was getting a glass of water around 11 p.m. when I heard voices from the back patio. Vanessa and Kevin, talking quietly. Your dad needs to go, Vanessa was saying. I've been patient, but this is our time. We're young. We want to start a family. We can't do that with him clunking around the house on that fake leg. Kevin's voice was quieter, but I heard every word. Where would he go? There are places for people like him. Veterans facilities. He'd probably be happier around other broken soldiers anyway. Broken soldiers. 27 years old, and she was calling decorated veterans broken soldiers. But it's his house, Vanessa. Kevin, baby, listen to me. Your dad is stuck in the past. All that military honor and service stuff, it's trauma. He's traumatized, and he's passing that trauma to us. We deserve better. I guess you're right. Those 4 words hit harder than any IED. I guess you're right. My son. The boy I raised alone after his mother walked out when he was 8. The kid I drove to every baseball game, every school event. The young man I was proud to see to graduate college. He agreed that I was broken. that I needed to be removed. I went back to my room and didn't sleep that night. The next morning, Vanessa cornered me in the kitchen. "James, I think it's time we discuss some alternative living arrangements for you." Kevin was making coffee, pretending not to hear. "Alternative living arrangements," I repeated. "There's a lovely veterans community about 30 miles north, Mountain View Manor. They have activities. People your age, people who understand your situation. My situation. Like being a Purple Heart recipient was some kind of disease. And if I don't want to go to Mountain View Manor?" She smiled that fake Instagram smile. "Well, that would be selfish, wouldn't it? Kevin and I are newlyweds. We deserve privacy. We deserve to start our lives without complications." Complications. That's what my service to this country had become. A complication. I looked at Kevin, my son, waiting for him to say something. Anything. He didn't. "I'll think about it," I said. But I wasn't thinking about Mountain View Manor. I was thinking about something else entirely. What she said next would destroy her entire career. That Thursday morning, I was reviewing disability claims in my office when I heard Vanessa's voice drifting from the living room. She was on speakerphone talking to someone about her upcoming yoga retreat. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but when you live with someone who treats your home like their personal studio, privacy becomes a luxury. "The Colorado retreat is going to be amazing, Jessica. I've got 12 women signed up at $200 each. $200 for a weekend of stretching and meditation. The only issue," Vanessa continued, "is Kevin's dad. He's still here, and honestly, it's affecting the vibe of the space." I set down my pen. "What do you mean?" Jessica asked. "He's got this heavy military energy. Purple Heart, war stories, that whole thing, and he lost his leg in Afghanistan, so he's got this obvious disability. It's just not the aesthetic I'm going for. Not the aesthetic. My service-connected disability wasn't fitting her Instagram brand. Can't you ask him to stay somewhere else during the retreat?" I've been trying to get him to move to this veterans facility, but he's being stubborn. Yesterday I told him straight up that his negative energy is toxic to our wellness journey here. There it was again. Toxic energy. How did he react? Vanessa laughed. Actually laughed. He just smiled and walked away. Typical passive-aggressive military behavior. They're all damaged like that. They're all damaged like that. Every veteran, every person who'd served this country, all damaged. What does Kevin say? Kevin agrees with me, obviously. He knows his dad needs professional help. I mean, the man talks to other veterans about their trauma all day. How healthy can that be? My job, helping other veterans navigate their benefits, their injuries, their transitions back to civilian life. She saw that as unhealthy. "Maybe you should record him having one of his episodes," Jessica suggested, "for the authorities. If he's mentally unstable, that's actually not a bad idea. I could document his erratic behavior, show how he's affecting our mental health." I grabbed my phone and started recording. Too late for the beginning, but I caught every word after that. "The worst part," Vanessa continued, "is how he acts like we owe him something. Like his military service gives him the right to disrupt our lives." "Entitled veteran syndrome," Jessica said. "It's a real thing." "Exactly. And the prosthetic leg situation? He clunks around the house like some broken robot. Do you know how that sounds during my morning meditation sessions?" Broken robot. That's how she described a Purple Heart recipient walking in his own home. Have you thought about just making him uncomfortable enough to leave? What do you mean? Well, if you can't force him out legally, maybe you can encourage him emotionally. Make it clear he's not wanted. I've been trying that. But these military types, they're thick-skulled. Programmed to endure hardship. Programmed to endure hardship. 20 years of service reduced to programming. What about Kevin? Can't he handle his own father? Kevin's getting there. I've been helping him understand that his dad's presence is holding us back. Kevin's finally starting to see that his father chose this life. He chose to go play soldier. Now we're dealing with the consequences. Chose to go play soldier. Play soldier. My 2 decades defending freedom. Playing. You're so right, Vanessa. Military people always want special treatment for their poor choices. Thank you. Finally, someone who gets it. Like, I support the troops and everything, but that doesn't mean I have to live with one. The call ended 20 minutes later. I had 47 minutes of recorded conversation on my phone. 47 minutes of Vanessa Miller, wellness guru and compassion teacher, mocking disabled veterans. That afternoon, Kevin came home from his physical therapy clinic. I was sitting in the living room when he walked in. "Hey, Dad. How was work?" Like nothing had happened. Like his wife hadn't just spent an hour explaining why I was subhuman. "Kevin, we need to talk." He sat down across from me. "What's up?" "Your wife thinks I should move to a veterans facility." He shifted uncomfortably. "She mentioned that, yeah? And you agree with her?" Long pause. "Dad, maybe it would be good for you, being around other veterans, people who understand what you've been through." "You mean other broken soldiers?" "I didn't say that. But Vanessa did." His face went pale. "I don't know what you're talking about." I held up my phone. 47 minutes, Kevin. Her entire conversation with Jessica about how damaged we all are. How I'm a broken robot disrupting her wellness brand. Kevin stared at the phone like it was a grenade. "You recorded her?" "I documented her. There's a difference. Dad, that's invasion of privacy." Invasion of privacy. In my own house. "Kevin, your wife just spent 47 minutes explaining to her friend why disabled veterans don't deserve respect. Why your father, specifically, should be removed from his own home because his war injuries don't fit her Instagram aesthetic. She didn't mean it like that." "How did she mean it, son?" He couldn't answer. "Because there was no other way to mean it." "You have a choice to make," I said. "Stand with your wife, who thinks your father is a broken robot. Or remember who raised you when your mother walked out." Kevin looked at his hands. "Vanessa's my wife, Dad." That was his answer. Phase 1 would hit her where she lived, literally. That night, I sat in my office staring at 2 documents on my desk. Document 1. The deed to my house. James Miller, sole owner. Purchased with a VA loan in March 2020 for $340,000. Document 2. A printout I'd found on the VA website about something called the Specially Adapted Housing Grant Program. Most people don't understand how VA benefits work. They think once you buy a house with a VA loan, that's it. But there are layers. Programs within programs. Benefits that can be activated under specific circumstances, like when a service-connected disabled veteran faces housing discrimination. I picked up my phone and called my buddy Tom Rodriguez, who works in VA housing benefits down in Denver. "Tom, it's James Miller. I need to ask you about SAH grants and loan modifications." "James, hey, what's going on?" "Hypothetically, if a disabled veteran was being forced out of his home by family members, what options exist?" Long pause. "That's specific, James." "You okay?" "Just answer the question." "Well, there's the Specially Adapted Housing Program. If a veteran can demonstrate housing discrimination based on service-connected disabilities, the VA can intervene. Sometimes that means loan forgiveness. Sometimes it means forced sale and relocation assistance. And the family members living in the house? If they're not on the deed, they'd have to leave when the VA takes action. Perfect. Tom, I need you to send me every form related to housing discrimination claims. Tonight. James, are you sure about this? These aren't processes you can undo. I looked at the photo on my desk. Me and Kevin at his high school graduation. Proud father and son. That son had chosen his wife over his father. Send the forms, Tom. 20 minutes later, my email dinged with a folder labeled VA Housing Discrimination Intervention. 12 different forms, each one more complicated than the last. But I had time, and I had motivation. More importantly, I had evidence. The next morning, Vanessa was in the kitchen making one of her green smoothies. Kale, spinach, some kind of protein powder that cost $40 a container. "Good morning, James." Sweet as pie, like she hadn't spent yesterday afternoon calling me a broken robot. "Vanessa, I've been thinking about what you said, about alternative living arrangements." Her face lit up. "Oh, that's wonderful! I knew you'd come around. Mountain View Manor really is lovely. They have a shuttle service, meal plans, activities for people your age." "People your age? I was 57, not 97. Actually, I was thinking of something different." "Different how?" I sipped my coffee. Regular coffee. Not the $15 organic stuff she insisted on buying with my grocery money. "I was thinking you and Kevin might want to find your own place." The blender stopped whirring. The kitchen went quiet. "Excuse me? This is my house, Vanessa. My name on the deed, my VA loan payments. Maybe it's time for you and Kevin to start your own life somewhere else. She laughed, not her fake Instagram laugh. A different laugh, sharper. James, you can't be serious. Kevin and I are married. We're building a life here. This is our home now. Our home. It's my house. Kevin is your son. I'm his wife. That makes this our family home. Kevin is 31 years old. Married adults typically live in their own homes. Her smile disappeared completely. You know what, James? You're right. This conversation's exactly why you need professional help. This territorial, possessive behavior, it's not normal. She pulled out her phone and started typing. What are you doing? Texting Kevin. He needs to know his father is having another episode. Another episode. Put the phone down, Vanessa. Or what? You'll have a breakdown? Threaten me? Prove my point that you're mentally unstable? I stood up slowly. My prosthetic leg made a soft clicking sound against the kitchen tile. I'm going to my office now to make some phone calls. When I come back, I hope you've had time to think about whether you want to leave voluntarily. I'm not going anywhere, she said. This is my home. We'll see about that. I walked to my office and closed the door. Then I opened my laptop and started filling out Form V26-4555, application for specially adapted housing grant with housing discrimination claim. In Section 12, under Nature of Discrimination, I wrote, spouse of adult child demanding disabled veteran vacate his own property due to service-connected disability and military service history. In Section 15, under Evidence Provided, I wrote 47-minute audio recording of discriminatory statements. In Section 18, under Desired Outcome, I wrote removal of discriminating parties from veterans' primary residence. But I needed one more piece to destroy her completely, and I knew exactly where to find it. The next 3 days, I became a detective in my own home. Every morning, Vanessa would leave for her yoga classes at 9 a.m. Kevin left for the physical therapy clinic at 7:30. That gave me 90 minutes of uninterrupted access to their lives. I started with social media. Vanessa's Instagram account, Wellness with Vanessa, had 47,000 followers. Her bio read, spreading love, light, and healing energy. Yoga instructor, wellness coach. Namaste, beautiful souls. Beautiful souls. I scrolled through her posts from the past 6 months. Photo after photo of her in yoga poses, inspirational quotes about compassion and acceptance. We rise by lifting others. Judge nothing, understand everything. Every soul deserves love and respect. Every soul, apparently except disabled veterans. Then I found the Memorial Day post from 3 months ago, a photo of an American flag with the caption, grateful today for all the brave men and women who sacrificed for our freedom. Their service will never be forgotten. Thank you to all our veterans and active military. You are heroes. Memorial Day. Support our troops. Grateful heart. 134 likes. 23 comments praising her patriotism. Support our troops, while calling them broken robots behind closed doors. I screenshotted everything. Next, I checked her business registration. Wellness with Vanessa LLC, registered in Colorado. Annual revenue reported as $85,000 last year. Not bad for teaching people to stretch, but there was a problem. 3 months behind on quarterly business taxes. $23,000 owed to the IRS. Financial pressure explains a lot about why she wanted me gone. My house represented equity she couldn't access. As long as I was alive, I dug deeper into Kevin's social media. Fewer posts, but telling ones. A photo of us at a Rockies game last summer. His caption, great day with the old man. Love this guy. Proud son baseball day. Proud son, 6 months ago. More recent posts told a different story. Photos of him and Vanessa at restaurants, hiking trails, yoga retreats. No mention of family. No photos that included me. I'd been edited out of his life one post at a time. Wednesday afternoon, I was reviewing the evidence when I heard voices in the driveway. Vanessa was back from her yoga class, talking to someone. I looked out my office window. She was with a woman I didn't recognize, both carrying yoga mats and water bottles. The energy in the house has been so heavy lately, Vanessa was saying as they walked toward the front door. They came inside. I could hear them in the living room. It's this military stuff everywhere, Vanessa continued. That Purple Heart thing on the mantel, the American flag, all these reminders of war and violence. Can't you just put them away? the other woman asked. It's not my house. Technically, Kevin's dad owns it. But honestly, Jessica, I think he's having some kind of breakdown. Jessica. The same Jessica from the phone call. What kind of breakdown? Paranoid behavior? Territorial aggression? Yesterday, he actually suggested Kevin and I should move out. Can you believe that? That's concerning. I know, right? I've been documenting everything. His erratic behavior, his mood swings. I think Kevin's finally realizing his dad needs professional help. I grabbed my phone and started recording. Again. Have you thought about adult protective services? Jessica asked. What do you mean? Well, if he's mentally declining, if he's becoming a danger to himself or others, there are people who can intervene. I hadn't thought of that. My sister went through this with her father-in-law. Dementia, you know? They had to have him declared incompetent for his own safety. James isn't that old. He's only 57. PTSD can cause early cognitive decline, especially in combat veterans. All that trauma catches up with them. I wasn't declining. I wasn't having episodes. I wasn't mentally unstable, but she was building a narrative that said I was. You know what, Jessica? You might be onto something. If Kevin and I could demonstrate that James is no longer capable of living independently, you could get guardianship, make decisions about his care and his finances. There it was, the real motivation, not wellness, not positive energy, not family harmony, money, my house, my VA benefits, my life insurance policy. The house alone is worth over $300,000, Vanessa continued, plus his military disability payments. If someone had to manage his affairs, it would all go through the family. Exactly. 22 minutes of conversation. 22 minutes of Vanessa and Jessica planning to have me declared mentally incompetent so they could steal my home and benefits. But I needed one more piece to destroy her completely. That evening, Kevin came home around 6:30. He found me in the living room, watching the news. Hey, Dad! How was your day? Productive, I said. I've been doing research. Research on what? I looked at him. My son, who'd chosen his wife's lies over his father's 20 years of service. Kevin, do you think I'm mentally unstable? Dad, why would you ask that? Just answer the question. He hesitated too long. What I found in her deleted posts would end everything. That night, while Vanessa and Kevin were at dinner with her parents, I did something I'm not proud of. I accessed Vanessa's laptop. She'd left it open on the kitchen counter, logged into her Instagram business account, the same account she used to spread love and light to her 47,000 followers. I clicked on her archived posts, the ones she'd hidden from public view. What I found there changed everything. March 2019, before she met Kevin, before she became a wellness guru, a photo of her at a bar, holding a beer, wearing a Support Our Troops t-shirt. The caption read, Drinks half price for military families tonight. My grandpa fought in Korea and Vietnam. Proud granddaughter of a hero. Military men are the best men. Military appreciation. Heroes in my family. Proud granddaughter. Military men are the best men. I kept scrolling. April 2019. Another post. This one a selfie with an older man in a VFW jacket. Sunday lunch with Grandpa Miller. This man is my everything. Purple Heart recipient, Bronze Star, served 2 tours in Vietnam. He taught me that freedom isn't free and respect is earned through service. I'm so grateful for his sacrifice and the sacrifice of all our veterans. Veteran granddaughter, Purple Heart respect our vets. Purple Heart recipient, just like me. But here's what made my blood run cold. The last name. Grandpa Miller. Vanessa's maiden name was Miller. She'd married Kevin Miller, keeping the same last name by coincidence. Or maybe not coincidence. I dug deeper into her archived posts, found her grandfather's obituary, shared in June 2020. Harold Harry Miller, age 89, passed away peacefully surrounded by family. Decorated Vietnam veteran, Purple Heart and Bronze Star recipient. Survived by loving wife Dorothy, 3 children and 7 grandchildren, including Vanessa Miller, who cared for him in his final months. She'd cared for him in his final months. A disabled veteran. A Purple Heart recipient. Just like me. I kept searching. Found posts from 2020, during her grandfather's final illness. Grandpa's having a tough day today. His war injuries are flaring up, and he's frustrated with his limitations. But I reminded him that his service made him a hero, that his sacrifices matter, that we love him exactly as he is. Caregiver. Life. Veteran family. Unconditional love. Unconditional love for a disabled veteran. Then I found the post that explained everything. July 2020, 1 month after her grandfather's death. Grandpa left me his house in his will. 3-bedroom ranch in Colorado Springs. I'm not ready to live there yet. Too many memories. But someday I'll make it a sanctuary for healing and wellness. He always said the house should be filled with love and laughter again. Inherited blessings, grandpa legacy, new beginnings. 3-bedroom ranch in Colorado Springs. The same neighborhood as my house, the same floor plan, the same VA loan layout that veterans preferred in this area. I grabbed my laptop and pulled up property records for the neighborhood. Found Harold Miller's house. Sold in August 2020. Sold to James Miller. I'd bought her grandfather's house, and she'd moved into it with Kevin without telling me the connection. This wasn't random. This wasn't Kevin meeting a yoga instructor and falling in love. Vanessa Miller had targeted Kevin Miller because he had the same last name as her grandfather, because his father was a disabled veteran, because she knew I'd bought her grandfather's house. She'd orchestrated this entire relationship. But why? What was the end game? I found the answer in her deleted direct messages. A conversation with someone named Brian, dated October 2021, right after she and Kevin got engaged. Vanessa, it's working perfectly. Kevin's moving into the house next month. Brian, and the old man doesn't suspect anything? Vanessa, he thinks I'm just some yoga girl Kevin met at a coffee shop. He has no idea I grew up in that house. Brian, what about the will situation? Vanessa, that's phase 2. Once Kevin and I are established as the primary residents, we start documenting James's decline. PTSD, mental instability, the whole thing. Brian, like you did with Harold? Vanessa, exactly like Harold. Worked perfectly, got power of attorney 6 months before he died. Controlled everything. My hands were shaking as I read the next message. Vanessa, James is older than Grandpa was when we started the process. This should be even easier. She'd done this before, to her own grandfather. The man she'd posted about loving unconditionally, and now she was doing it to me. But she'd made one fatal mistake. She'd underestimated a soldier. Saturday morning, I uploaded a video to YouTube. The title, Wellness Guru Calls Disabled Veterans Broken Robots. Here's the proof. I'd spent 3 days editing 47 minutes of audio down to 8 minutes of the worst moments. Vanessa's voice, crystal clear, explaining why disabled veterans were damaged goods. He clunks around the house like some broken robot. They're all damaged like that. He chose to go play soldier. Now we're dealing with the consequences. I included screenshots of her Instagram posts, the Memorial Day tribute to veterans, the photos with her grandfather, the support our troops content, then the audio of her mocking the same veterans she claimed to support. I posted it to Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, every platform I could find. Within 2 hours, it had 3,000 views. By noon, 30,000. By 3 p.m., it was trending. Wellness with Vanessa fake guru, veteran, respect, hypocrite. The comments section exploded. This is disgusting. My husband lost his arm in Iraq, and this woman would call him a broken robot. I followed her for 2 years. Thought she was all about compassion. What a fraud. Someone find out where she teaches yoga and boycott her classes. Purple Heart recipients deserve respect, not mockery from fake wellness influencers. At 5 p.m., my doorbell rang. I opened the door to find Vanessa standing there, phone in her hand, face red with fury. Take it down, she said. Take what down? The video, James. Take down the video right now. I don't know what you're talking about. She held up her phone. 2.3 million views, James. 2.3 million people have watched your little revenge fantasy. Revenge fantasy? You recorded private conversations. You violated my privacy. You could go to jail for this. I stepped onto the porch, closing the door behind me. Vanessa, you were in my living room on speakerphone discussing how to have me declared mentally incompetent so you could steal my house and benefits. That's not what happened. I have the recordings. Illegally obtained recordings. By now, neighbors were starting to notice. Tom Rodriguez from next door was watering his plants, obviously listening. The Martinez family across the street had come out to their front yard. Perfect. You want to discuss legal issues? I said, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. Let's talk about elder abuse. Let's talk about targeting disabled veterans. Let's talk about conspiracy to commit fraud. You're insane, she said, but her voice was shaking. Am I? Then explain this. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshot of her direct message conversation with Brian. Exactly like Harold, I read aloud. Got power of attorney 6 months before he died. Controlled everything. Her face went white. Where did you get that? Your laptop. You left it open Wednesday night. You went through my private messages? I went through my house, looking for evidence of the conspiracy to steal it. Kevin's truck pulled into the driveway. He got out, looking confused. What's going on? He asked. Your father, Vanessa said, has lost his mind. He's posting lies about me online. He's violated my privacy. He needs to be committed. Kevin looked at me. Dad, what is she talking about? I handed him my phone with the video playing. Listen to this, son. Listen to your wife explain why your father's a broken robot who chose to play soldier. Kevin's face changed as he heard Vanessa's voice coming from the phone. He clunks around the house like some broken robot. They're all damaged like that. He chose to go play soldier. Vanessa, Kevin said quietly, did you really say this? It was taken out of context, she said quickly. I was venting to a friend. I didn't mean. You called my father a broken robot. Kevin, you know I didn't mean it like that. How else could you mean it? By now, more neighbors had gathered. Tom Rodriguez had his phone out, recording. The Martinez family was watching from their driveway. Even old Mrs. Chen from the corner house was standing on her porch. Kevin, I said, show them the video. Dad, I don't think... Show them what your wife really thinks about veterans. Kevin hesitated, then turned his phone toward the growing crowd. Vanessa's voice echoed across the quiet suburban street. These military types, they're thick-skulled, programmed to endure hardship. He chose to go play soldier. Now we're dealing with the consequences. Mrs. Martinez gasped. She said that about you, James? Tom Rodriguez lowered his phone. Vanessa, James is a Purple Heart recipient. I know what he is, Vanessa snapped, and I know what PTSD looks like. This man is mentally unstable. He's been threatening me. He recorded private conversations without my consent. In his own house, Tom said. Recording you discussing how to steal his house, Mrs. Martinez added. I wasn't stealing anything. Then what was this about having him declared incompetent? I asked. Kevin stared at her. You wanted to have Dad declared incompetent? For his own good. Kevin, look at him. Look at how he's behaving. This is exactly what I was talking about. What you were talking about, I said, was taking power of attorney over a disabled veteran so you could control his finances. Just like you did to your grandfather Harold. The neighborhood went silent. Harold Miller, I continued, your grandfather, Purple Heart recipient, the man whose house I bought, the man you convinced to give you power of attorney 6 months before he died. Kevin stepped back from her. Vanessa, what is he talking about? Nothing. He's delusional. I have the messages, Kevin. She targeted you because you had the same last name as her grandfather. She moved into his old house through you. This whole relationship was planned. Her response would make everything 10 times worse. Vanessa looked around at the growing crowd of neighbors, all staring at her with a mixture of shock and disgust. You want the truth? She said, her voice getting louder. Fine. Here's the truth. She pointed at me. This man is a mentally unstable veteran who threatened me in my own home. He's been stalking me online, recording private conversations, and now he's posted edited audio to destroy my business. Tom Rodriguez crossed his arms. Vanessa, we all heard the recording. Edited, she screamed, taken out of context. This is harassment? The context, I said calmly, was you planning to steal my house. It's not your house anymore. The words came out before she could stop them. Kevin stared at her. What do you mean it's not his house? Vanessa's eyes darted between Kevin and the neighbors. She was cornered, and she knew it. I mean, we're married, Kevin. What's his is ours. What's ours is his. That's how marriage works. My name's not on the deed, Kevin said slowly. But you're his son. You'll inherit everything anyway. When I'm dead, I added, which, according to your messages with Brian, you were hoping would be sooner rather than later. That's a lie. I pulled out my phone again and found the screenshots. October 15th, 2021. Your message to Brian: James is older than Grandpa was when we started the process. This should be even easier. Kevin grabbed my phone and read the message himself. His face went pale. Vanessa, did you do something to your grandfather? Harold died of natural causes. After you got power of attorney, I said. After you isolated him from other family members. After you convinced everyone he was losing his mind. Stop it! She shrieked. All of you, stop listening to him. Can't you see what he's doing? He's a manipulative, paranoid veteran who can't accept that his son has moved on. Mrs. Martinez shook her head. Honey, we heard your voice. Nobody edited that. You called him a broken robot, Tom added, on tape. I was frustrated. Do you know what it's like living with someone who's constantly talking about war and trauma and death? Do you know what that does to your mental health? He talks about it, Kevin said quietly, because it's his job. He counsels other veterans. It's unhealthy, Vanessa shot back. He's stuck in the past, and he's dragging all of us down with him. She pulled out her own phone and started recording. I want everyone to see this. James Miller, Purple Heart recipient, is having a psychotic breakdown in front of his neighbors. Kevin, are you seeing this? Your father needs immediate psychiatric intervention. Vanessa, stop recording, Kevin said. No! This is evidence. Evidence that he's mentally unstable. Evidence that he's a danger to himself and others. Her lawyer's letter was about to become her biggest mistake. Monday morning at 8 a.m., a sheriff's deputy knocked on my door. Behind him stood a man in a suit carrying a briefcase. James Miller? That's me. Deputy Harrison, El Paso County Sheriff's Office. This is Attorney Michael Stevens. We need to serve you with some papers. I invited them in. Vanessa and Kevin were in the kitchen, Vanessa holding her phone like it was a weapon. Mr. Miller, Attorney Stevens said, my client has filed for a temporary restraining order against you. She's also requesting a competency evaluation based on your recent erratic behavior. What erratic behavior? Secretly recording private conversations, posting defamatory content online, making threats against my client's business and livelihood. Vanessa stepped forward. I have witnesses who can testify to his unstable mental state. What witnesses? Our neighbor saw his breakdown Saturday evening. I have video evidence of him threatening me. I looked at Deputy Harrison. Officer, before you serve those papers, I'd like to show you something. I handed him a folder I'd prepared. What's this? Stevens asked. Evidence of conspiracy to commit elder abuse, fraud, and identity theft. The deputy opened the folder. Inside were printed copies of Vanessa's deleted messages, screenshots of her social media posts, financial records showing her grandfather's power of attorney transfer, and property records proving I'd bought Harold Miller's house. This shows, I explained, that Vanessa Miller targeted my son specifically because she knew I'd purchased her grandfather's former home. She planned to replicate the same pattern of abuse she used against Harold Miller. Deputy Harrison studied the documents. These are some serious allegations, Mr. Miller. They're lies, Vanessa said. He's fabricated all of this. The Instagram posts are public record, I said. The property records are county documents. The deleted messages came from her own laptop. Attorney Stevens examined the papers. His confident expression was fading fast. Furthermore, I continued, I filed a housing discrimination claim with the VA last week. They've approved my application for emergency intervention. I handed the deputy another document. What's this? Stevens asked. Notice of VIA housing benefit activation. As of today, this house is officially classified as protected veteran housing. Any non-veteran residents have 72 hours to vacate. Kevin stared at the paper. Dad, what does this mean? It means Vanessa and anyone supporting her discrimination against disabled veterans needs to leave immediately. You can't do this, Vanessa screamed. Kevin is your son. Kevin chose his wife over his father. That choice has consequences. Deputy Harrison looked at Stevens. Counselor, in light of these VA documents and the evidence of potential elder abuse, I'm not comfortable serving this restraining order. But she filed a competency petition, based on what appears to be fraudulent claims designed to gain control of a veteran's assets. Stevens was sweating now. My client had no knowledge of any conspiracy. Your client, I interrupted, posted a video to TikTok yesterday claiming I was having a psychotic breakdown. That video has been viewed 800,000 times. I showed him my phone, Vanessa's TikTok account, with a video titled, Living with an Unstable Veteran, My Story. In that video, she describes Purple Heart recipients as dangerous and unpredictable. She suggests that disabled veterans shouldn't be allowed to live independently. Deputy Harrison watched 30 seconds of the video and shook his head. Ma'am, this is disability discrimination, and it's public. I was telling my truth, Vanessa said. Your truth, I replied, just destroyed your business. Wellness with Vanessa lost 31,000 followers since Saturday. Your yoga studio canceled your classes. 3 wellness conferences have rescinded speaking invitations. It was true. I'd been monitoring her social media collapse in real time. That's because you posted edited audio. The audio wasn't edited. It was 47 minutes of continuous recording. Stevens closed his briefcase. Deputy, I need to speak with my client privately. You can speak with her outside, Deputy Harrison said. This is a VA-protected residence now. He handed Vanessa an official notice. Ma'am, you have 72 hours to remove your belongings and vacate these premises. Any attempt to return without permission will result in federal trespassing charges. Vanessa looked at Kevin desperately. Kevin, tell them. Tell them this is our home. Kevin stood there, holding the restraining order papers, looking lost. Vanessa, did you really plan all this? Did you target me because of my last name? Kevin, baby, I can explain. Did you abuse your grandfather? I took care of him. That's not what I asked. She couldn't answer, because there was no good answer. Kevin set the papers on the kitchen counter and looked at me. Dad, I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix 20 years of raising you alone, Kevin. I know, but I'm sorry anyway. He looked at Vanessa. Pack your things. We're leaving. Kevin, no. This is our home. This was never our home, he said quietly. This was my dad's house. And I forgot that. But it was too late for apologies. The next 48 hours would finish what I'd started. 3 months later, I was sitting on my back porch, drinking coffee and reading the newspaper, when my phone buzzed with a notification. Another interview request, this one from CNN. Since the video went viral, I'd been contacted by everyone from local news stations to national veterans advocacy groups. The story had grown beyond just one family's dysfunction. It had become a symbol of something larger: respect for veterans, disability rights, elder abuse prevention. I declined the CNN interview, just like I'd declined the others. This wasn't about fame. It was about dignity. My phone buzzed again, a text message from my VA colleague, Sarah Martinez. James thought you should know. 3 more veterans have come forward with similar stories about family members trying to gain control of their benefits. Your case is helping them fight back. That made it worth it. The house was quiet now, peaceful. For the first time in 2 years, I could drink my morning coffee without hearing complaints about my negative energy. Vanessa had moved back in with her parents in Denver. Her wellness brand was finished. Last I heard, she was working at a juice bar, trying to rebuild her life away from social media. The yoga studio where she taught classes had released a statement distancing themselves from her comments. Mile High Wellness does not condone discrimination against veterans or disabled individuals in any form. Her TikTok video about unstable veterans had been taken down after thousands of complaints, but the damage was done. Screenshots lived forever on the internet. Kevin had tried calling a few times. I didn't answer. He'd left voicemails, apologizing, explaining, asking for another chance. But some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. I'd raised that boy alone from age 8, taught him right from wrong, showed him what it meant to serve something bigger than yourself. And when it mattered most, he'd chosen a woman who mocked disabled veterans over the father who'd sacrificed everything for him. That wasn't a mistake. That was a choice. The VA housing intervention had worked exactly as planned. Kevin and Vanessa had moved out within the 72-hour deadline. No drama, no arguments, just quiet defeat. The house felt bigger now, quieter, but not empty. Tom Rodriguez had become a regular visitor, stopping by for coffee and conversation. Mrs. Martinez brought me homemade tamales every Sunday. The neighborhood had rallied around the story, treating me not as a victim, but as someone who'd stood up for himself. I'd started a YouTube channel of my own, nothing fancy, just a weekly 5-minute video talking about veterans' issues, disability rights, and family relationships. 43,000 subscribers and growing. Last week's video was titled, "Setting Boundaries Isn't Selfish." It got 200,000 views. The comments section had become a support group for veterans dealing with similar family problems. My daughter's boyfriend called me a war machine and said I shouldn't be around their kids. Thank you for showing me it's okay to fight back. My son's wife convinced him that my PTD was toxic masculinity. Your story gave me the courage to cut them off. I lost my legs in Iraq and my family treats me like I'm broken. Watching your videos reminds me that I'm not. That's what made the whole ordeal worthwhile. Not revenge, not victory over Vanessa and Kevin. Helping other veterans understand they deserved respect. My disability payments continued arriving every month. $1,200 deposited automatically into my checking account. Money I'd earned through 20 years of service and a leg lost defending freedom. Freedom that people like Vanessa used to mock the very veterans who'd provided it. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd also received an unexpected letter from Harold Miller's estate attorney. Apparently, other family members had been suspicious about Vanessa's sudden control over Harold's finances before his death. My evidence had prompted them to request an investigation. The Colorado Attorney General's office had opened a formal inquiry into elder abuse. Vanessa wasn't just dealing with a destroyed wellness brand. She was facing potential criminal charges. Some battles you fight for country, others you fight for dignity. But the most important battle is the one you fight for truth. Every morning I'd wake up in my own house, in my own bed, surrounded by my own things. The Purple Heart shadow box was back on the mantel where it belonged. The American flag hung proudly in the living room. No one was calling my service playing soldier. No one was describing my war injuries as toxic energy. No one was planning to have me declared incompetent so they could steal my benefits. I was 57 years old, a Purple Heart recipient, a veteran who'd served his country with honor, and I was finally, truly free. The doorbell rang, interrupting my thoughts. I walked to the front door, my prosthetic leg making its familiar soft clicking sound against the hardwood floor. Through the window, I saw a young woman in military dress blues. She looked nervous, holding a manila folder. I opened the door. "Mr. Miller?" "I'm Lieutenant Sarah Johnson from Fort Carson. I was wondering if I could speak with you about something." "What about, Lieutenant?" "Sir, I've been following your story online. I'm getting married next month, and my fiancé's family, well, they've been saying some things about military people, about veterans like you." She held up the folder. "I was hoping you could help me understand my options." I stepped aside and held the door open. "Come on in, Lieutenant. Let's talk. Because that's what we do. We serve. We protect. We stand up for each other. And we never, ever let anyone tell us we're broken."